Ladies and gentlemen, live over here on this Thursday, okay, in lovely August. Okay, today we are very fortunate from California, okay, from the Anaheim Hills office, Uncle Sam. Dick Crawford, ladies and gentlemen, yes. The studio, the reason I say Uncle Sam is because he always does a parade where he's actually Uncle Sam during the parade in your hometown there, right?
Yes, right there in Anaheim Hills.
Anaheim Hills.
I ride my bike and I give the crowd a hard time about paying their taxes and things like that. It's actually a lot of fun.
That must go over well in California where you guys have a lot of taxes.
They tend to throw the candy back at me, but that's
right.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, do you know what? I know who you are. And oh, by the way, folks, you probably don't recognize this man because he no longer looks like a Unabomber. Okay, because during the pandemic, he had a complete full beard going, and now he's shaved back to his normal look. Okay, so tell us a little about yourself, Dick. How long you been doing this and all that good stuff?
Rick, I'm in my 17th year, and I shifted over like so many people do. Shifted over from my original career, my career out of college. I am trained and such as an accountant, and worked many years as an accountant, and decided one day I wanted to go out and play, and also did not want somebody to tell me when I was done. So I decided that, and I had thought about this for many years about real estate, and I just decided that okay, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm not afraid of the numbers, and I understand business. I can put on a tie when I have to, and so let's do this. So that was 17 years ago. My timing was perfect because it was right around 2004, 2005, just at the peak, and it was all downhill from there. So my first few years were kind of tough, but if you're going to make it during a tough time. And all those years later, I'm glad I did. Very good decision for me.
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, he's not only afraid to put a tie on, he's not afraid to put a wig on, a suit, ride a unicycle, whatever it takes, folks.
Correct. That's correct. There's a Southern California car dealer years ago. Go see Cal, and he used to have all kinds of silly things on his commercials. Sometimes that's how I feel because I really enjoy entertaining people and making it fun.
That's the key right there. And I know that I know you do that because, and I work with you as your coach, so I know that you've had 4 years in a row having your best year ever in real estate, haven't you?
Yes.
Is it 4 or 5 now?
Actually, it's I missed by literally by $1,000 one year. But it's been a 5 year. This is my 5th year of the 5-year run of bettering the year before or being darn close to the year before, and it feels good. I don't want to say it's the harvest, but it just feels really good because I do have people calling me to buy another home or sell the one that I helped them buy 6-8 years ago. So it really does feel good at this point because I'm working with people I already know and they know me, and it really does make it a lot of fun, very gratifying at this point.
Yeah, you have a pipeline of people that you've developed, complete sphere. You also do some Brian Buffini stuff, which is great. I just looking at something on my computer today. He's got something coming up. His brother's doing. I can't remember exactly what. Oh, with RAS Media. So they're always busy doing stuff. And, so that referral only, work with your sphere, do the drop buys, pop buys, all that good stuff, right? So obviously you said harvest, which is a good word because you're reaping the benefit of all the foundation you've been laying for the last, X amount of years, correct?
Yes, that's right. And I say I hesitate to use the word harvest just because I'm not done yet. But that's kind of what it feels like in many respects because it is a payoff for all the previous work. So I feel you can have a harvest just about any time in your career. It doesn't have to be the end, but that's what I'm experiencing right now to some degree, and it's very gratifying.
Yeah, fun. It's fun when you do, when you know what to do every day, you enjoy your job, especially with you. You work out of your house a lot too, so you're right there. You got everything at your fingertips. You can crank it out. You can also have some fun. I know you do some stuff with your church and all that good stuff too to keep involved there. So that's all great stuff. And then you have a client appreciation party, don't you? Pretty much every year.
Yes, I do. Of course, nobody did anything last year. But what I do is I give out Thanksgiving pies the Tuesday and Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I used to have a big bowling event in the fall, and
That's
that
right.
just proved to be a little bit too logistically difficult, and so I shifted over to a pie giveaway during the Thanksgiving season. So people come over to the office and they see what a great office I have, and they pick up their free pie, and I give them some other little goodies, and off they go. So that's a lot of fun to get people out of their house to come see me. I call it a reverse pop by. Make them do some work.
I'm just going to say that the reverse pop by. I love it. They come to see me because you have one hell of a pie.
And the fun thing too is, I don't get the Costco pies. Everybody gives me a hard time because Costco pies are huge and not that expensive and very, very good. But the presentation isn't all that great. And I use a local bakery, so that kind of spreads the word about them. So it's just kind of fun to make it, a real community event.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, and everybody loves it. And they look forward to it every year to come get their pie, right?
Absolutely.
And rumor has it that you have a bunch of people that are looking forward to their ketchup every year too. Is that correct? Do I hear? Did I hear correctly?
That is true, Rick. That is true. I'm a little bit behind this year, but that's my summertime pop by, and everybody loves a good barbecue, or most people do. So we get a good barbecue going in the summer, don't we? And we need those condiments. So I give a bottle of ketchup, and I even make my own label, and it's got my mug on it, and it says, yes, you guessed it. If you ever want to catch up with the market, by all means, give me a call. I relish your referrals, and this is coming from the realtor who really cuts the mustard. So something like that.
I love
I
it.
put on my labels, and I put an American flag on it, and it's all in good fun. Cost me about $1.50 a piece, and people really enjoy it. So.
Well, okay, so you know me, I love to have fun. I love corny jokes. I was going to say you better get caught up on your ketchup run very shortly because you are the man who cuts the mustard for them. Okay, so speaking of corny jokes, okay, why did the pony lose the singing contest? Because
No idea.
she was a little horse. How does he do it? Ladies and gentlemen, the crowd goes crazy. Yes, I know it's bad. The worse they are, the more I like them. Okay?
This is what we put up with, folks.
Yes, thank you. All right, so tell us. Okay. Hey, we got to have fun doing this, right? She was
That's
a
right.
little horse. All right, I'll stop. All right. So is there so as far as your prospecting, keeping in touch with people, keeping your business going, is there anything else you think these lovely people should know about that?
Well, it's having the right attitude, because every once in a while I'll get a client who, doesn't call me up, but I call them up and say, "How you doing?" They say, "Oh, great, we're moving tomorrow. We just sold our house. Aren't you happy for us?" And it happens. And that's just like a kick in the gut, but it happens. And Mark Stark said it really well a couple of months ago in one of his talks, that they're just looking out for their own best interests, and
Mm.
they're not getting up in the morning and thinking of us. They're getting up in the morning and thinking of their family and their finances and their future. Three F's. I like that. So that's what they're thinking of. And so I've worked really hard over the years. I don't take it personally anymore. I just kind of look at myself and say, well, what could I have done to put myself in their face a little more regularly and make a better impression, or whatever it might be. How can I improve because of that? So that's one of the most important things is keep doing what you're doing, because everything works, whatever you choose to do. But have a little perspective about it, and realize they're not thinking of you every day like you might be thinking of them. And just keep moving. The next guy will call you up out of the blue and say, "Hey, we talked 5 years ago. I want you to help me sell my house." So it really, it goes both ways.
I agree 100%. You have to understand, because one of the things I teach agents all the times is, like you just said, they don't wake up thinking, wow, how can I get Dick a deal today? Right? They think, what's the best, what is the best options for me? They're thinking about themselves, and they should be thinking about themselves. And I would say, Dick, in this market, where it's pretty hot, especially it all starts in California, comes this way, right?
Yeah.
That loyalty, as the market goes ballistic, loyalty goes down too. So you have to even turn it up further to stay in front of them, or they'll use a I don't know, somebody that does it for free, commission cutters, whatever. So you got to stay in front of them all the time, especially as the market gets this hot, right?
Absolutely. And I think my best defense against that is education. So I really put myself out there as the educator in terms of real estate and helping people at all times, all year long. Here's what's going on in real estate. Here's how you can avoid this, how you can maximize that. So people come to me realizing that number one, I know what I'm talking about. And number two, I've got their best interests at heart. I'm not, waving a flag. Look what I just did. I'm waving a flag of, hey, here's what you should be aware of in the marketplace. So that's my best defense to make sure that they think of me first. And they think of me in terms of value, not so much in terms of a low cost realtor, but a value in their pursuit. So that's what I keep doing. And yeah, there's those 1%ers, 1.5%ers. There's those national firms who have Wall Street money behind them, and you just can't, you can't compete with them necessarily, but you can put your best foot forward and say, I've got the value that you need, and it will cost you a little bit, but boy, do you get what you pay for in both directions. So yeah, in an up market, they're looking all over the place because they've got all kinds of sweet deals coming at them, but they just don't understand that they need real professional help. And it might cost them a little bit of money, but boy, are they going to get it back in spades during the deal.
Yeah, and sometimes they're going to make a lot more money because of it. Because one little mistake can cost you 3-4% in a heartbeat. And you mentioned the Wall Street people. There's so many of them. The list would go on. I'm just wondering when the train is going to show up, because if you follow them, a lot of them, they're losing money on those transactions, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. So apparently they buy into the volume makes up for losses, but eventually the train shows up, right?
Exactly. I even saw a video. I can't remember where it was. If I think of it, I'll send it to you. But it was a guy giving a talk. How do you lose $1 billion in real estate? And he gave examples of these Wall Street firms and all the different things that they're doing and how they're hemorrhaging money,
Hmm.
but they're on this I guess path to build this machine. And Wall Street money doesn't care. I guess they've got a longer term view, but it's really kind of amazing how much money they're losing with those with that business model that they're setting up. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't get it. Building a machine for what? What happens when the market goes? The only reason they're going by, when the market changes even a smidgen, it's going to change those margins even worse. And now you have a machine that just costs. The old saying used to be, "How do you make a small fortune in real estate?" And you start with a large one, right? And that's obviously they're
Yeah,
following a business model apparently.
exactly. And to your point, when the market goes down, they have a very tough time because the buyers, or excuse me, the clients, I think tend to go to safe haven, and safe haven is relationships.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what really is the foundation of my business and a good solid realtor's business is those relationships.
Hmm.
And they in an up market, they might think they've got some money to burn because they're going to make a ton of money. So let's try to get a discount broker. But when they're looking at a slim margin themselves on the sale of their home, or there's danger in the air, they go to the safe haven of a relationship. So again, I go back to my whole foundation of being the educator, being the person who's available, and the one who's there to help them through their process. And often enough, they turn to me because they don't want to chance it.
Yeah. Don't blame them. Don't blame them at all. And tell us a little about your podcast as well, because I know you're doing that and it's rocking, it's rolling, it's out there. People are listening to it. Tell us a little about that.
Well, number one, I have you to thank, Rick, and you kind of were telling me how easy it is to get one started, and we were talking on our coaching call a few times, and you just said, yeah, just do it. And so one of those days, actually, is about a year ago, is August of last year. I got really frustrated because I was having a hard time figuring out how to get through to all my agents across the country. how do I get through to these people that I am the connector, I am the connection, and how do I tell my local base of clients that I'm the connector, I'm the connection? I want to put those people together because my business is a referral based business. And there's a whole bunch of different layers to this that I won't go into now, but I just decided I'm going to do a podcast and demonstrate my ability to connect agents across the country. And that's what I did. I started my podcast. It's called Eyes West. And I interview my agents who I know through the Buffini system, primarily in the West. I'm going to break out to the rest of the country soon enough, but from Texas up to Washington and from Montana down to California, I'm interviewing agents and asking them about their markets and about how they work and what it's like in their city, what's so great about living where they live. And I'm passing it around to my base, my client base, and letting them know I'm the connector. So if they know anybody who's moving, through out of California and into these other states, that let me know. I can hook them up with a great agent anywhere in the West. And soon enough, I'll expand that to the rest of the country. But it's turned out to be a real hoot because I know all these agents, and a couple of them I don't know, but I call them up because they're in my network and they were all over it. So we're having a great time doing it. And my client base is really enjoying it. And it's one more layer of my business or of my profile, I guess, to help them understand that I'm in this. I'm in up to my eyeballs. And if they need some assistance, they need some advice, need some perspective, I'm there for them because I've got, multifacets going on. So it's a
That's
ton of
awesome.
fun.
That's awesome. And I'm assuming you included Texas in the West because the volume of people moving from your state to Texas. It's crazy if you think about it.
Yes, I will say I took a little bit of license on that because on the map they're kind of more the Midwest, but we think of Texas as part of the West in some of the
Yes.
stories.
Right,
But
but
but you're right. There's just an enormous relationship between Texas and California, so I was obligated to include them.
absolutely. No, it's a great place. And it's the number one destination in the United States right now, Arizona being number two. I think Nevada is number five. And California is always up there. But California, for the first time in the history of the state, has as many people moving out as moving in, which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, and traffic is much better for it. So awesome.
Good. Yeah, well, that's a very good thing from California. At California, one thing about the agents there, they're used to being in their car because you could be going 15 minutes down the street without traffic. It'd take you 2 hours.
Yeah, when they made it illegal to text on the while driving, man, that my volume just plummeted because that's all we do is we do office work in the car.
That's right. All right, so this we come to the favorite part is let's knowing what you know now. What would be the three? I call them all number ones, like three number ones of the most important things you would tell them to focus on to be successful in this business.
Okay, thankfully you gave me fair warning on that, so I did take
Yes,
some notes. So allow me to read some bullet points here.
no problem.
Number one is know yourself and be yourself, and that's a real tall order. I'm still learning about myself. I'm still getting to know myself, and I'm still working on being myself. And because there's all kinds of outside things going on, and we want to make sure we, put on a good face and such. But on the other hand, my COVID beard and my podcast and things like that have really helped me to get to know myself a little bit better and be myself. You've got a unique value and you will attract customers if you know yourself and you are yourself in the business. So that's a huge number one. A lot of Another very big one that I've learned over the years is there's so many ways to market yourself, and everything works if you work it. So pick some way that feels really comfortable to you now that you know yourself. Pick a method of marketing that feels comfortable to you, feels natural to you, and it will work if you work it. So there's a lot of crazy schemes out there, and I don't subscribe to any of them. But I got to say that a lot of them work quite well for people. So you just got to feel what works for you, or find what works for you, and work it. Because just about everything you can come up with will attract a customer if you do it consistently and do it well. So that's a second number one. And the third number one is also very, very big. It's don't hesitate to ask questions. I have this detective quality in me that wants to figure everything out for myself, and I want to dig in deep. And that's great. Some inner part of me really enjoys that, but it's not necessarily the best use of my time. And sometimes I might only find part of the answer and not realize it's only part of the answer. And so I have found that I've just got to ask more questions of people and not be afraid to ask questions. If you go around the office and look at the names on the door, think of the people that are in the office, there is just a wealth of information in your office. It's just there's sage advice everywhere in your office. And if you count up the number of years of business that's represented in your office, it's a few hundred years worth of business. And I tell my clients that all the time. I say, I don't have all the answers, but I tell you, I got 300 years worth of experience in my office, and everybody is there to answer a question if I happen to have one that stumps me. So that's the last thing is do not hesitate to ask questions. You've got a wealth of resources right there in your office.
So true. Yeah. And the great thing about, our company here, Mark's company, is that, I've never been involved because I've been coaching for years, involved in 3 or 4 different markets my whole real estate career, and never seen so many people like yourself willing to share and help other agents and, all help each other out. It's a great, we have a great work environment, I would say, a culture even, if you will, so great.
No, absolutely. And kudos to the management team. They've really cultivated that culture, because just from the office meetings to Mark's videos to what you're doing here with the Facebook Live, there's just all kinds of examples and ways that it's demonstrated that we're in a sharing environment here with Berkshire Hathaway. So no question about it. Everybody has, I think to some degree, everybody's got the obligation to carry it forward, but certainly they've got the responsibility to their business to ask questions and partake in those resources, because that's only good for your clients, no question.
Absolutely. That inquisitive quality is good, especially when you are, like I'm doing success series right now. I talk about intense curiosity. You need to know everything about your clients. Think about a doctor. You go to a doctor and they ask you incredible amounts of questions. And here's the other thing too. They don't talk about themselves. They don't say things like, well, Dick, last time I had that, you're not going to believe what happened. They don't do that. Could you imagine if you went to your doctor and they start telling you an example of you'd be like, what are you talking about? Although we do it all the time. Your fiduciary responsibility. Go ahead.
They'd have a book of the pictures of their surgeries that
right, done. Exactly.
Oh yeah, check out this liver transplant I did last week. Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
The word closed would be a banner across the day. Yep, I closed that up with about 50 different sutures. It's closed. It's done. So, yeah. No, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. It would almost be a violation of their responsibility for privacy. All right, Dick, thank you very much. We're at time here, so I know you're busy. Go out there, get it done, man. I really appreciate you taking your time to do this today.
My pleasure, Rick. Thank you for doing it for all of us. Take it easy.
Thanks, Dick. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Take care.